Pastor Mariah here. Thanks for tuning in to our Sunday morning service. We are continuing our Find It Challenge. Today, you'll be looking for this: a house from our story in Mighty Kids, the story of the wise and foolish builder. So you'll be looking for this all throughout the service. Usually, it's only for the kids, but today, adults and kids can play. Count how many you see during the service, and before 11:30, send me how many you've counted. If you get it right, your name will go into a draw. We will be doing a draw for the adults and for the kids, and you'll win an ice cream gift card. So keep your eyes peeled and don't miss any. It starts now.
Hey, your mama called today. She was asking about you.
There's nothing special about me.
What are you talking about?
I'm not pretty. We don't have money. I can't get my hair to do anything. My clothes don't look right or interesting. They don't fit. Sometimes I feel so dumb.
Emily.
There's nothing you can do about it.
Good morning, Grace Church, and welcome to church this morning. My name is Alex, and I am Mighty Kids summer student for this summer. If you would like to connect with us, if you are new or you would just like to hear from us, you can reach us in the Connextion Card that is up in the description. And if you need prayer this morning, you can contact us at pray@bucktushchurch.com, and we would love to pray for you this morning. This past week, we started a meal program, and here's a little bit more about it.
Thank you so much, Alex. I'm here today to talk to you about something amazing that Grace Church is doing. We're partnering with the United Way, with Second Harvest, with Mighty Kids, and Youthquake. And we are all working together to help feed people through this COVID-19 pandemic. This past week, we kicked it off. We fed around 170 meals to people of all ages and all needs. Our goal is to feed 200 people every single week, either a hot meal or a bag lunch, maybe even both, depending on what they have going on in their day or in their week. We're so happy to be able to do this as a church, as organizations, and as a community together. You might be wondering a couple of things. How can I help? If you would like to help deliver, if you have a car, we will pay for your gas. We would love to have some people help deliver meals to some people who need a meal. I'm sitting at my table today, and we all have memories in our life where we sat around the table and had a meal together as a family. During COVID, this has become more difficult for lots of different reasons. Busy schedules, work schedules, maybe people have lost work, maybe budgets are tight, maybe it's just difficult to cook for one person. I want to really ask you to help me. We need some volunteers to deliver, and secondly, I need you to help spread the word to your neighbors, to your friends. If you have someone who could use a hand up, please, this is for anybody who's struggling or anybody who just needs a hand. So please spread the word. There's going to be a link in the description of this video where you can register. But not only that, you don't have to register. You can just come to 41 Girardville on Wednesdays between 11 and 1. And we'll be there with a smile, with a mask, which you won't be able to see the smile, but we'll be so happy to serve you. So please tell your friends, tell your family, and we are making a difference together. We hope to see you Wednesday. Back to you, Alex.
Now, how exciting is that? I was there this week and it was so awesome to be able to connect with you guys and just reach out to our community in a very practical way. Make sure you stay tuned to the end of the service to hear how Grace Church is planning on gathering in the future. Bow your heads with me as I pray over the service this morning. Dear God, we're so thankful for the ability to be able to gather this morning. God, I pray that you would use the message and the worship to touch lives, God, and that you would be so present in our homes this morning. God, I thank you that you are here in the middle of chaos, in the middle of unpredictability, God. God, we're so thankful for who you are and what you do. Join us in worship as we worship with Carol this morning.
He has done great
so glad to be here with my great lifelong friend, and I'm just going to have him introduce himself to you.
Good day. I'm Jeremy DeVito. I'm married to Troy's sister Natasha, who's a youth pastor at Grace Church. I teach at Harrison Trumbull High School, which is where I went to school, and so I need to know.
So Jeremy, tell me, how did you meet Natasha?
Okay, so Natasha's a pastor's kid. I was a pastor's kid, and we used to. I went to Camp Evangeline when I was young. Some of you guys have gone there, and I can remember the first time I saw Natasha because I was standing in my cottage with another pastor's kid, and he looked out the window, and he said, "That's that girl. I like that girl. By the end of camp, I'm going to be dating that girl. She was 11." And I remember looking at her and thinking, oh, she's cute. And then the next thing that I remember is me and that same guy having like a wrestling match, and the only audience was Natasha. I remember that really well. Yeah. And then I got a nosebleed in that because I dove in and his shoulder hit me in the nose. I got a nosebleed, and I said, stupid. But whatever.
Did you win the wrestling match?
I didn't. It was the end of the match. I had to go home. And he was a pretty tough guy too.
Did you win the girl?
Yeah. I won the girl, so it's good enough.
That's all that really matters. Well, I've asked Jeremy as part of our series called Fab Five. We're asking someone every week to share what their favorite Bible story is. So I've asked Jeremy. He's a teacher, as he said. So I've just asked him to share what his favorite Bible story is.
For me, it's not quite a story. My favorite passage in the Bible comes from Ezekiel 37. And the way that I came to kind of really appreciate this section was my mother always liked it. She always used to talk about it. And that's the section where Ezekiel has a vision, and he has an angel, or it might be Christ, bring him to a valley, and it's a wasteland. It's a valley of dry bones. And the angel tells him to prophesy over the valley of dry bones, and they come to life. Flesh is put back onto the bones, and they come back to life. It wasn't, I'll be honest, my mother really loved this passage, and I never really understood it. It wasn't until I went to university. When I went to university, Natasha and I had been together for 6 years, and we broke up for a couple of years. And I just remember that it was really a hard time for me. I felt like I was kind of in a wasteland. And what happened at university is I kept encountering literature, because I'm a literature major, that was echoing Ezekiel in the Valley of Dry Bones. I learned about the Fisher King, and from Arthurian legend, and the modernists, T.S. Eliot, in his poem *The Wasteland*, talks about wastelands and renewal, and it was something that got me through a really difficult time. This promise of, because it's what I love about it is it's a story told in the wasteland, and the vision is of renewal, but there's no renewal there at the time. It's a promise to Israel, but it works for all of us. And since then, I've been in a lot of wasteland. I mean, and I've come out. Like Natasha and I were apart for 2.5 years. It was a tough time for me, and we got back together. We got married. We're together for 20 years now. I was sick for 15 years of my life, really sick. That was a wasteland, and you get used to it. That's the tricky part about wastelands. It's not so much that you that it's hard every day. It's that it's hard every day to the point where it just becomes normal. The difficulty becomes normal. You start to get used to the wasteland. And somehow you keep going. And then out of nowhere, I remember when I was in Baptouche when my Crohn's went away, like within a month. Like it was gradual, but it wasn't gradual because I had been 15 years sick. And then I wasn't sick anymore, and I was out of the wasteland. And that's something that has kind of spoken to me since that time. I always gravitate towards that literature, and when I see like pieces of it and echoes of it, I go back to them. And I've actually collected over the years a lot of wasteland literature, and I teach it. My grade 12 class is built around the idea of the wasteland and renewal. And I tell my kids, you'll go through these tough times, but there's hope. There's something better coming. And that's why I like this. This year when I was teaching these piece of literature, just as a last bit, my father passed, and it was really comforting. It was something that I talked to my students about coming through that, and seeing the other side, and knowing it's coming because it's happened to me before. I've come out.
I think everybody can identify with that, because everybody watching this and the thousands of people that are in this room right now, okay, there's only 4 of us, we've all been in the wasteland. We all know what it's like. And to be able to look back and to know that God has helped us through those wastelands is really a beautiful thing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jeremy is one of my lifelong friends, and it's my brother-in-law, one of the smartest, one of the funniest, one of the best people I know. So thank you so much, Jeremy.
Before I spoke a word, you were singing over me. You've been so, so good to me. Before I took a breath, you breathed your life in me. You've been so, so kind to me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, and leaves the 99. Oh, I couldn't turn it, I don't deserve it. Still, you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. I was your foe, still your love fought for me. You've been so, so good to me. I felt no worth, you paid it all for me. You've been so, so kind to me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love, God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, and leaves 99. I couldn't turn it, I don't deserve it. Still, you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. There's no shadow you won't light, mountain you won't climb, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, no shine you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, running after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, running after me. Whoa, overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love, God. Love it chases me down, fighting still. I found reason 99. Why couldn't turn it? Why don't deserve it? Still you give yourself away. Oh, the
Tommy, ready for the Bible study?
Yeah.
Did you do the homework for the Bible study?
Yes.
So Tommy, look at me.
Uh-huh.
You answered all the questions for Romans 8, 38, and 39.
Yes.
Tommy,
Mostly.
Mostly.
Well, the answer to the last question's not in the Bible.
The answer to the last question, what can separate you from the love of God? It's in there.
It's not in there.
Yes, it is.
It's not in
It's
there.
in there.
No,
It's
it's
in there.
not. No, it's not.
I would
No,
not
it's
give
not.
you. I would not give you questions.
It's
if it
not
weren't
in there.
answered.
No,
Yes,
it's
yes,
not.
yes,
No,
yes,
it's
it
not.
is.
Show me, Bible boy.
All right, here we go. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are your ears open? Because here it is. Are you ready? Can you handle this? Can you handle this?
Yes. I think I deserve it.
I don't think you can handle it. No, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. Get ready, here it is. For I am convinced that neither death nor life, neither angels nor demons, neither the present nor the future, nor any powers, neither height nor depth, nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus our Lord.
See? It doesn't say.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't. It says nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah, you proved me right.
No, you proved me right.
Wait, what?
Yeah, the something that you're looking for is nothing. Huh? Something is nothing.
No, something is something.
Something is nothing.
No, nothing is nothing.
Nothing is something.
No, nothing is nothing and something is something, but something can't be nothing and nothing can't be something.
But in here, it is and it can.
So you just want me to go in there and say nothing?
Yes.
Just be like, nothing!
Exactly. And the specific nothing is neither and nor.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
Neither nor. Nothing.
Yes.
Nothing, neither nor. Nothing, nor, neither, nothing, neither, nothing, nor. So I'll just go in there and not say anything.
No, I want you to say something.
Then what is that something?
Nothing.
I wanna hit you!
What?
Nothing!
Yes!
Nothing!
Yes!
Nothing!
Yes!
Nothing!
Yes!
Nothing!
Yes!
Nothing! Nothing!
Right.
Nothing! 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 Nothing?
Nothing.
Yeah, but you don't know my nothing.
Doesn't matter what your nothing is.
No. No, your nothing is nothing. My nothing is something. I've got a past. Just last night.
Doesn't matter what you did last night or what you did 5 years ago. Nothing can separate you from the love of God.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Well, we're so glad you're here today. We're in our third week of our Fab 5 series, working our way through 3 stories in the Bible that have had amazing impact on my life. As we work our way through the series, just remember that a series is just a group of messages that we put together so that we can track through and follow through on a journey together. We're so glad you're here. First week, we talked about donation versus sacrifice and how that impacted me, and I hope that it had an impact on you. During week 2, we talked about the idea of being moved with compassion. And I pray that we don't just have pity, that compassion moves us. Today, we're on to week 3. This story had an impact on me for a really long time. As many of you, I had my own struggles with insecurity. Growing up being a young boy that obviously struggled with their weight, all through the different ages of schools, we moved around quite a bit, and it was always a challenge. I always had thick glasses, I was always new, and there was always this insecurity that I struggled with. I had mentioned this before. And I found myself in the trap, and the trap was that I would get my worth from man, not from God. And I would worry about what people thought about me, if they liked me, if they cared about me. And if I did good, then they would like me more. And if I didn't do good, they wouldn't like me. And so the story in the Bible is just kind of this weird story that's kind of stuck in the middle of a bunch of other stories in the life of Paul. And it's found in Acts chapter 28. You can turn there. But I have a really special friend that's actually going to read the story and tell us a little bit about this story. So why doesn't she come and do that right now?
Okay, so I'm going to be reading Acts 28, 1-6. And some context behind it is that Paul goes to the island of Malta, and the people who lived there were so welcoming and generous that they built them a fire because it was raining and it was cold. And Paul was there putting sticks and branches in the fire when a snake came and bit him on the hand. And all the local people seen the poisonous snake on his hand, and they're like, you're going to swell up and you're going to fall to your death. But that never happened. He just shook the snake off into the fire and was never hurt. But the people believed that something bad must happen. Like, he just got bit by a poisonous snake. And they waited, but nothing happened. And they believed that he was a god. And it says that in Acts 28, 1-6, it says, when we were safe on land, we learned that the island was called Malta. The people who lived there were very good to us. Because it was raining and very cold, they made a fire and welcomed us. Paul gathered a pile of sticks and was putting them on the fire when a poisonous snake came out because of the heat and bit him on the hand. The people living on the island saw the snake hanging from Paul's hand and said to each other, this man must be a murderer. He did not die in the sea, but justice doesn't want him to live. But Paul shook the snake off into the fire and was not hurt. The people thought that Paul would swell up or fall down and die. But they waited and watched for a long time, but nothing bad happened to him. So they changed their minds and said, he is a god.
Haley, you did such an amazing job, not only reading the story, but telling us about the background and what was going on in this story. I struggled so much with insecurity. I wanted so much for people to like me. I mean, we all struggle with it to some degree. Even people that you meet and you think, oh, they're shy. You might think only shy people are insecure. But the truth is, sometimes really people that are really prideful or arrogant, the root of all of that is insecurity. We see people online. They post the best things about themselves, hoping to get likes and shares. And the truth is it's rooted in insecurity. When we read this story, Paul is coming from Rome, gets in a storm, gets shipwrecked, ends up on the island of Malta. Haley told us all about this story. And then he's there, he's warming up beside the fire. I want it to be by the beach, but it's just too windy today. So just use your imagination. We're by the fire, trying to get warm. And a snake jumps out and actually grabs onto Paul's hand. And he's there. Everybody is watching. And then he shakes it off. He just does a Taylor Swift. And he shakes it off. And the snake falls away. And then the people are looking and they're expecting him to die. But he doesn't die. So the people say, the goddess is looking for justice, tried to kill him in the storm. Now they tried to kill him for mistake. He must be a murderer. The people go right away. They judge him. He must be a murderer. And then he doesn't die. And then what happens? Just like that, their opinion changes. When he doesn't die from the poison, they say that he must be a god. Small g. In those times, there was lots of gods. But just in the middle of the moment, he went from being a murderer to a god. See, and that's the problem. The problem is when we put our worth in the hands of people, their opinions change about us. Not just from year to year. They can change from moment to moment. So when you try to put that perfect picture online, in that moment, you are trying to get worth from them. I am trying to get worth. When I would play sports and I would try to find my identity in being, the best player that I could be, I wanted the approval of man, my coach, my friends. But then, what happens when we don't get the approval that we want? What happens when man or women or our friends, what happens when they change their mind about us? Do we lose worth? I mean, really, what happens? Is our worth like this one day and then we're not worth it the next day? Is it in and it's out? Is it up and it's down? Where does your worth come from? For me, it was a hard journey because I actually believed that I wasn't good enough. I wasn't good enough to be a pastor because I wasn't like other pastors. I was kind of weird. I was kind of goofy. I liked to have fun. And pastors tend to be more serious. And it was hard for me. But I had to come to a moment with God. And the moment was similar to Paul. Whose voice was I going to listen to? Because man's voice changes. Here's the thing. There's nobody in this world that is better at being you than you. I mean, there's people better baseball players or basketball players or swimmers or singers or guitar players than you. But there's no one better at being you than you. And that's exactly who God has called you to be, is you. I mean, think about it. If you're walking down the street and you found $100, I mean, wouldn't that be amazing? Because $100, you know the value of it. But I mean, what if the $100 was all crumpled up in a ball? What if it was dirty and muddy? What if you threw it on the ground and you stepped on it? What if it was torn? What if it had been on the ground in the dirt for years? Would you pick it up and say, well, it's not worth it? Of course it is. $100 is $100. And see, I want you to understand something today. That your worth is not from what you've been through, or what you're good at, or what you're not good at. My worth isn't whether I'm a good speaker or I'm not a good speaker. It doesn't come from if people will message me today and say you did a great job, or if nobody does. See, that's not where my worth comes from. That's not where your worth comes from. See, your value is because God created you for a purpose, with a plan for your life. See, in this story of Paul at Malta, man's opinions changed quickly, but God's opinion never changes. He loves you, no matter what you've done, no matter where you've been through, no matter how far away from him you've wandered or how broken you might feel, no matter how high your anxiety is or how low your depression is. I want you to know that he loves you, that your worth isn't what your parents said you were worth or a stranger said you were worth. Your worth is what God says you're worth. And you know how much you're worth? That he sent his only son to die for you, for me. And just before we close today, I want you to watch this video.
God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life.
Excuse me, son.
Yeah,
What have you got there?
got some birds, some wild birds.
Really?
Yeah,
Where'd you get them?
got them in the field over there. There's a field with wild birds.
Huh.
Yeah,
Well, if you don't mind my asking, what are you going to do with them?
I want to play games with them.
Games?
Yeah, I can play games with wild birds, yeah.
What kind of games?
Sometimes I like to poke a stick in there, you know, and they'll be like going, caw, 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 like that, you know. And then sometimes I like to rattle the cage, and they think it's an earthquake, and they love that.
What happens to them after you're done playing games with them?
Usually I feed them my cat. Yeah, my cat likes wild birds.
I tell you what, I am fond of wild birds.
You are?
Yeah, let me buy them from you.
You want to buy my wild birds?
Yeah.
They're no good for nothing. They can't do no tricks or nothing. And when you open this gate, they're just going to fly away.
How much?
You're serious?
I'm very serious.
$5.
All right.
$10.
Okay.
$20.
They're wild birds.
They're exotic birds.
You found them in a field.
An exotic field.
All right. That's all I got.
See you looking at the cage.
Yeah. What do you got in there?
You know what's in there.
Mankind.
Found them in the garden. The funny thing is, they put themselves in that cage. I had nothing to do with it.
So what's your plans with them?
I'm gonna play games with them.
Games. What kind of games?
All kinds of games. I'm gonna put games into their life that they think is gonna bring them so much pleasure. Then I'm gonna turn the world upside down. I'm gonna make right seem wrong and wrong seem right.
And then?
They'll be damned for all eternity.
My father and I, we're very fond of mankind.
I know.
We want them to have access to us. So I'm going to pay for their freedom.
You want these humans.
Yeah.
You know they've promised you everything before. They're gonna turn their backs on you.
Some will, and some won't.
You're serious.
Oh, I'm very serious.
It'll cost you your tears,
I know.
your blood.
Yeah,
It'll cost you your life.
I know.
You're willing to give your life.
I'm willing to give what it takes.
This reminds us about what Jesus did for us on the cross. He picked up that wooden cross and carried it to Mount Calvary because he loved you and me.
That story always amazes me. See, the little boy in the video that was played by one of the skit guys, he didn't see the worth of the birds in the cage, but the man did. The devil didn't see the worth of humanity, but Jesus did. He gave his life for you. Today, if this is the last thing you ever hear me say, my prayer is that you would know that God loves you, that he sent his one and only Son for you, to pursue you. We sang about it earlier, about his reckless love. That there's no mountain, no hill, no wall that he won't kick down running after you. I would encourage you today to figure out where you get your worth from. Do you get it from man, or do you get it from God? And the only way to figure that out is to give your life to him and help him renew your mind, to change the way that you think about your worth. Because no matter what you've been through, God is for you. He loves you. Doesn't matter if you're shipwrecked on the shore and half the people think you're a murderer and they change their mind to think you're a God. Doesn't matter if man's opinion has changed about you. God's opinion never changes. He loves you today. Let me pray for you. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for every person that's watching this video today, that they would know in their hearts how much you love them, that they would turn their heart towards you, that they would get their self-worth from you, not from the opinions of man, that we would live a life of sacrifice, a life of compassion, and a life knowing that we are your child and only your opinion matters. In your name, amen. We wanted to take a few moments at the end of the service to give us an update about Grace Church and how we're moving forward through COVID-19. God has been doing some amazing things, and we're so happy to hear the stories of people's growth and journey. But I know that many of you must be wondering, when or how are we going to gather together again? It's crazy to believe, but this is actually our 12th online service. I would have never thought on March 13th, when we made a decision to meet online, that we would still be doing this 12 weeks later. But here we are. Thank you so much for your faithfulness, gathering online, watching services, and worshiping in the comfort of your own home. There's so many questions, and the future is actually still really uncertain. But as we met, myself and the church leadership, we really gave some thought to this. We prayed for wisdom. And as we journeyed through our conversations and thought through all the options, one thing that we kept going back to is on March 13th, we made a decision to stop meeting in person because we loved our neighbor. And that was one way to show that we cared for the communities around us so that we would protect from the spreading of COVID-19. So now here we are 12 weeks later, and we're faced with the dilemma. When is the right time to gather? We weighed so many options, so many plans. We're a church in the summer that meets, and we're between 160 and almost 200 people on some Sundays. And so the number of 50 really creates a problem for us. We've come to the conclusion that that's not the right number, that it's going to take us a little more time. We're not sure what the number is, but here is our plan. Our plan is over the next week that we're going to send a survey out to everybody that attends Grace Church. So make sure you're looking in your email for that. We will also put it on Facebook. We're just going to make a survey just to try to gauge the comfort of people have with gathering again. We're a large enough church that it's going to be difficult for us to get new rules on a Friday and gather on a Sunday. All the while weighing the option of what's the right decision. I mean, how many services do we have to do? Do we have to do 2 plus online? Do we have to do 3 plus online? Really, do we have to do 4? We don't really know. All we know is we're not ready to gather in a group of 50 at this time. As we've seen just this week, things can change so fast. Some churches thought they could gather at 50, and then in one day, it's back to no gathering at all. We really believe that it's wise. So we're going to send out a survey. Please fill out that survey. That'll help us know that in the future, do we need 1, 2, 3? How many in-person gatherings of 50 people do we need? But 50 is probably not our number. So is it 80? Is it 100? That's what we're trying to figure out through these surveys. So we're going to send out a survey. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to arrange our sanctuary at the church. And this will dictate our physical distancing, what the actual number will be for us. And we'll have that number within the next few days. Next, I would really encourage you to be praying for us. We really believe that God has called us for this moment, not just through a feeding program, but also through loving and caring, not just for our community, for the people who call Grace Church home. Please pray for us. We need to figure out how to get people to register for which service they're going to go to. We need to figure out what are the cleaning stipulations that the government's going to put on us. We have to build cleaning teams and greeting teams that are going to be comfortable with carrying out all of these tasks. This is a difficult time and a difficult decision. I know this is probably not what you want to hear today, but here is the hard reality for us. We're not ready to gather yet. 50 people is not our number. It's going to take some time. But here I have a few requests. If you could please make Sunday mornings, actually Sunday mornings, online, a priority. Then in the corner of the screen, there's this little number that shows us how many people are viewing. And as that number grows, it shows us that you are there. And we need to still be together. Drop your name in the chat, encourage each other, and pray for each other. So we're journeying through this. You say, Troy, what is it going to look like? Well, we've made a decision that we are not going to gather in person this week, next week, or the next week. If the guidelines change, then we will make a decision. If the number is something that we're comfortable with as a leadership team, we will then make a decision. So say the number jumps to 100, then we will say, okay, in 2 weeks we're meeting. That will give us time to put the policies, the procedures, and the plans in place. I hope that you know that not gathering to certain levels is painful for all of us. We miss you and we love you. One of the things that came out in our board meeting last week was, as we talked about gathering, we talked about the stress that it would be to hold as many services that we needed. The stress on the staff. We've already made the decision, as we know, to lay off 2 of our staff. So we're running on a really small team. So I hope that you understand. I pray and I ask for your prayer that we will know the wisdom to gather at the right time. So this is where it all boils down. We will be staying online fully until Father's Day. And then we will make a decision then, according to the government's regulations, if the number is just right for us. Thank you so much. I pray that you have a great day. My prayer is that God would bless you, that he would keep you, that he would make his face shine upon you, that he would raise his countenance to you, and he would give you peace. Amen. Have a great week.
Before I spoke a word, you singing over me. You've been so, so good to me.
All right, kids and adults, the hunt is over. You have until 11:30 to send me how many you've counted. Make sure that you send it to me in a private Facebook message. At 12 o'clock, I'll be going live on my Facebook page to draw the name of the winner for the adults and for the kids. Good luck. See you soon.
The overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. Oh, I couldn't turn, I don't deserve it. Still, you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming. I felt no worth, you paid it all for me. You've been so, so kind to me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love, God. Oh, it chases me down, fights still alive.